characters. But the reason why I chose the Insectoids, it's because first of all, the first of all, this style of hard surface. Well, first of all, I mean hard surface. That's what like I feel like people know me for. Although I do everything. Well, I like to think that I do everything, but hard surface seems to be something that people often ask me questions about. So that's why I will, at least for the moment, stick to that. And yep, we'll see for the rest. But so hard surface, and also the Insectoid series is like it's a. I mean, if you take just the wasp, I made this character like what 5 years ago or something, maybe like even more. And I always loved the wasp. I liked the result. It was actually it was one of my very early mechanical character, one of my very early hard surface characters that I did, and I kind of like feel that I gave it like a style that was already pretty much like my own, and I explored with like many other styles afterwards, and trying to kind of figure out like what I like, what I don't like, trying to find new things, but recently, I came back on the insectoids and I made the beetle and the mosquito, which is the beetle is the center one, the mosquito is the one on the left, and I I really wanted to just like go back to like my previous ways of doing hard surface, which is not really different from now, but something that is very proprietary to this series is that I use often like cheats and stuff like this in this one, and I try to not like really go through like too much of like a technical process, but more like a practical hands-on process to my hard surface there, and also there are some technical aspects to them, right? So I feel that these characters are touching a lot of aspects of how I do like my old techniques and my new techniques at the same time. So yeah, I'll also try to focus a little bit on design. I mean, you'll see that my blocking is somewhat advanced, but I didn't want to start like from scratch from the beginning, just because I wanted to be able to go somewhere and maybe start some polishing today. So yeah, I decided to take something that is like relatively like advanced, but you'll see part of the design aspects to it, and I'll try to explain also, maybe take screenshots, explain a little bit of some things. So so yeah, maybe something that I want to start with is it's already going to start with something that is it's not going to be in ZBrush. I'm going to go to ZBrush right away, but I just mean to explain something. It's probably going to be a bit more, a bit easier if I just. All right, this one here. Okay. So something I just wanted to show, because I'm going to probably repeat that very often throughout the like the whole process, is there we go. Take a layer. All right. So yeah, I see a lot of people saying hi. Hi to everyone. I'm sure you're all beautiful people and lovely people. So let's have fun together. The yeah, so if I take for example like the characters, there's something about like design and visual language that I actually really go back to very often, which is basically just figuring out some shapes that are my inspiration shapes, let's say my muse for the character, and how much I'm going to try to have this shape be present in the character really depends on how much stylization I want to go for the characters. Like these characters are like in quotes realistic, but there's a like a certain stylization to it. There's like the shapes are very important, and they in real life, if they existed as robot, they would probably look a bit goofy, like over the top, but that was the goal in terms of design. Like they fit well in like a sci-fi, like half fantasy sci-fi battle mech video game, right? Um, and so this is what I mean by stylization, is like how much like I deviate from actual reality of like mechanic. Sometimes I will try to do something that's very, very close, and sometimes I'll actually do something that is uh, like gives me more like liberty and whatever fantasy, however you want to call it. So for the wasp, I think that it's actually pretty noticeable that the triangle was actually one of the most important shape, especially the equal. Oof, that's already the first word I'm not sure how to say in English. Equilateral, like a triangle that the three sides are actually like the same size, basically the same length. This is basically like the power shape for this character. Um, but you'll see often I'll sometimes I'll double my shapes like this, so it becomes kind of like a diamond shape. But the reality is that it's two triangles fit together. So I'll play it like a lot with this. Sometimes I'll even like take this shape here and like chop it in half and focus on like this tapered shape. So I will allow myself to go into like those like kind of like, let's call it secondary shapes like this. But I always try to revolve around this this first shape here. Um, so you see like here is actually, it's not even an equilateral triangle anymore, but still there's a triangle right here that's been cut like this here. And on top of that, it's like a 3D triangle, like if those were like the, oops, sorry. If those were like the inside shapes, so like a 3D pyramidal triangle thing, whatever. I just know the names in French, sorry. So you see like it's like kind of like 3D as well. 3D like this, basically. So like the character will actually have like a lot of those shapes, even triangle here, even if I rounded one edge here, it's still like this tapered shape. Triangle here, here. Like you have it like everywhere, here. So this is basically like something like when I wasn't sure really in what direction to go and what shapes to give, this is basically what I was doing. I was just going back to like my primary my primitive shape, right? So yeah, this is just to say that like this is pretty much like something I do often with my characters. This guy here is it's a fat capsule, like a capsule shape like this, let's say. So inside you have a cylinder, right? But you have the capsule, and you have also like, if you just take like this piece here and this piece here without the middle, you get a circle. So I'm gonna revolve around those like capsule, cylinder, circle shapes. Even if I cut like even this it's like a capsule without like the top part, so you can actually like see it here. I'm using it here and stuff. So yeah, a lot of like roundness. So you see like this is actually very round like this here. So I'll be using those shapes. And for the mosquito, mosquito is actually more of a like a plate look. So anything that's kind of like a plate like this, so long, elongated, not necessarily rectangular shapes, but more like wanted to have like those round shapes and stuff. You still have like cylinders, circles, capsules like this guy here, but the primary objective was to have long shapes, and with some variations in the shapes, of course. I always like to put variations and stuff like that. So this is basically what I'm using here. Yeah, so I'll you'll see I'm often going to talk about shapes and stuff like that. You'll see me do my typical mechanical visual design, using often the same kind of like those trim lines here, those little capsule with like holes followed by trim lines, cavities all the time for sure. Near connectors, you always have like little details, poof, whatever. Just trying to put like a little bit of detail, a bit everywhere. I know I'm more on the side of a lot of detail than few, but there's still like a balance between those things that I try to always consider. Do you decide on this shape beforehand, or it's spontaneous as a sculpting? Well, oh, Azraf. Hi, Azraf. I just realized it's you. Actually, well, it's a good question, and I'll just bring up my pure ref. So this, you see, this is like a pure ref for the Insectoids series. And like those ref are like random stuff. Sometimes it's even my own stuff just to make sure I replicate some of the visual language. It's a lot of things. A lot of Furio actually. Furio has always been one of my biggest inspiration. A great friend of mine as well. Um, so yeah, you see, like these are all like insects that I was like, oh, I could do that. Like I'll be working on the praying mantis today, so you'll see her when I'm going to show you the 3D model. But you see, I often like check for references, and then I'm like, okay, well, what do I really see when I look at like this fucking thing? I hate spiders. When I look at this thing, like what do I see? Well, you see, like the sphere is very present in the spider because of its abdomen. It's also like right here, so it's like a mix of like those long cylindric shape for the legs and the sphere. So if I'm going to do the spider, I'm actually going to focus on the shapes that I see here, kind of like as like it's not really putting like a restriction on myself, but more like a guideline. I find. And if you look at the praying mantis here, well, just look, the length of the body is actually something I'm going to use for the character. But also, if you look at the shape of the head, it's actually like a rounded triangle. This will actually be present in the character, as well as like the shape of this arm, which is kind of like also like a triangle when you look at it, but very like elongated. So I'll be, and same for like this like abdomen part here. So you're gonna see me using those shapes for sure. Yes, I'm using Keyshot at the very end. But yeah. So to do the renders here, yeah, it's in the end, but that's for like later, later. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna put back my references here. So those shapes, like I said, I'm gonna be using them. I'm gonna show you like how I actually work on the surface to really have like a clean surface, even if the shapes are going like in every directions. Show you how to actually like really aim to do like certain specific rounded corners or sharp corners, and yeah, and just general cleanliness that's very proprietary to the hard surface look of things. Oh yeah, and also how to separate elements, because you'll see when you start from a blocking, it's kind of like one shape, and when separating the elements, I kind of like continue to define the design at the same time. So it's like a process of separation of elements from the body, but at the same time, it's also like for me like a way to really continue to define the design and everything. Well, about the question on silhouette and such, it's probably something I'll be like it's going to be easier to explain during my 3D. But in terms of like quickly, what I can say is that like I really try to balance like frequency of how can I say like silhouette, let's say, like for example, like this shape here is extremely strong. It's recognizable as like a strong shape for the human body. If it was like a muscular guy, it would be the same kind of like big V-shaped thing. And I try to also have like the same kind of like thing going on here. So you actually have like this like very long part shortening here, and same with very long parts shortening here, which gives kind of like a dynamism to the overall silhouette, which I find it's actually really important. Whereas like this guy here, like it was really important to have like this kind of like like awkward shape mixed with very tiny members like this. So this is just in terms of general proportion, but in terms of shapes, I'll try to answer the question more later. It's kind of like an abstract subject, so I'll try to explain it while working on the character. How long do I make one of this? Well, like this is just a high-res character with like rendering. The rendering, I already have my materials are already done in Keyshot, so it's just like slapping them, making some composition. Making one character like this, I'd say that the blocking can take me maybe like 1 to 2 days. I always give myself like a second day to just like see if I can make the design better, and I will often also change the design during the polishing process. But just to say that, like, normally I actually have my blocking pretty defined in 1 day, and maybe a second day to refine it a little bit more, and then I go to polishing. Polishing of a character like this, it's like, you have to understand it's my technique, and I've been doing that for a long time, right? I'd say that I can probably like nail one if I was to work every day for 8 hours, which I don't because I'm running Chaos Masons, and this is taking a lot of my time. But if, let's say that I was actually able to work 8 hours per day on the characters, I'd say that I would probably be able to finish the high res, like this character, without the rendering in, I don't know, like let's say 2 weeks, something like that, maybe less. And then rendering, whatever, probably takes sometimes like 2-3 days, that sort of stuff. So all in all, let's say like 2 to 3 weeks for one of those like characters is what it can actually like take me. Yeah, so actually, you know what? Let's jump in the 3D because I've been talking, I've been using Photoshop a bit too much for the moment. So actually, let's take this one here. All right, so this is going to be the character I'm going to be working on. So the praying mantis, like I showed you. Yeah, exactly, the mantis. So you already have the color range that I'm going to be using here. Let's take just a quick screenshot of her here, just to give you a bit of background about the creation. Where's my Photoshop? New. All right. So if you look at whoops, sorry. So you have the praying mantis here. Basically, like this green is probably not final. Let's say it's just like to have a green. But you see, I'm trying to use kind of like the colors that I see on the character. Plus, I mean, green and orange kind of like works together. So those two colors are very present. And also, I'm trying to reuse a lot of like the shapes that you see from the praying mantis. So long, elongated character. The abdomen, which is very large. I kind of like try to actually have this thing happening in her legs, so she doesn't have like something that's like, she doesn't have like a butt coming out, let's say, like this insect here, but the legs are trying to represent like this shape that I see here for the abdomen, and of course the long arms retractable with the claw-ish parts, and kind of like triangle shapes in some areas of the head here. And I didn't want to give her like big eyes and such, but I kind of like at least have like those like green things on the side here that kind of like represent the eyes, even if like the eyes are actually the 3 little dots here near the head. And plus I wanted to make this character kind of like sexy-ish in a sense. So I kind of like where I decided to have the black cloth part, because if you notice on the on my insectoids, there's always a cloth part. It's kind of like what ties them together is that they actually have like stuff that comes back, and all of them will have like those kind of like protective Kevlar areas, and of course tubes, metal pieces, that sort of stuff. So I try to actually like keep those, and oops, if I, where's my, there we go. So if you see like the black parts, what I tried to do is kind of like mimic that she's actually having like long boots, like long, sexy long boots and stuff, and same for like long gloves, like soiree gloves, like soiree. So yeah, no, basically this was kind of the idea. Oh, and also kind of like a leotard thing here. So this was my choice to where to place the cloth thing, and the tubes are basically like I always put the tubes kind of roughly in the same place, but it was just to have like some like echoing of colors like here and here, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much. It's pretty much like the important part for what I took from the Mantis to create this character here. I see there's a lot of question. What do you think about Maxon occurring? About Maxon, I have no clue. I mean, we're gonna see what it's gonna happen. It can be good, can be bad. We don't know. Randomly cut. Yeah, starting. That's all I'm looking for. Oh yeah, okay, cool, awesome. Definitely on a Milligator vibe. It's funny you say Milligator vibe, but I actually have almost never used a Milligator solid reference in my life, although I love the style. So, and the same goes for Evangelion, by the way. I never use Evangelion references, and I know that like my style really like pukes Evangelion so much. The reality is just that like it struck me so much when I was a kid that like it's like I don't even feel like I need to look at references anymore. I know they live inside of me. Same goes for Metal Gear Solid. Same goes for Mega Man and all those like those things. So yeah. Um, okay, yes, Su-Zero-1 vibe. Flat extraction. Okay, I'll show that maybe later. That kind of reminds me of the Anthem Interceptor. You see, I don't even know what's that, but you know what? I mean, everything exists, so like we're never gonna create something like 100% new. And like people that create new things are like poo-pooed like as like too much artistic at the same time. So it's such a weird world. But I try to not really focus on that. Colors or Dragon Ball. That's interesting. Cool, awesome. Well, that's great. Okay. All right. Let's. So okay, yeah. What else to say about this character right now? I feel that for the moment, like I don't really need to say much. I'll just show you like a bit of like how I started the 3D model, just to show you an example. So so of course like the starting point is sometimes I'll start from nothing. Sometimes I'll start from like a biped. Like I won't load it because it's a ZPR, right? But like any standard biped like will do. I always end up changing them anyway. And just to give you an example, this is like a bit of an earlier version here, but this is like something that was done like pretty much within like the first like hour or two. Like this shape was already like established, and the first thing that I did was basically like trying to this the same as my what I was talking about the colors of the mantis. I was just trying to figure out the shapes. So like I explained, like this here was pretty much the abdomen part. So I just took the characters, the naked character, and really just moved around the shapes. Like I don't have layers anymore, but let's say that like the leg was like a bit more like let's say realistic. Well, now it's very long, right? But let's just like imagine that it's of a normal size. So you see, like we're getting a bit like closer to like a realistic leg like this. Maybe not the back here, but whatever. There we go. Okay, so like this, let's say this is more like the neutral leg. Well, something that I actually will be doing is just like taking the move brush and just like figuring out like how I can, like let's say you take a layer and you just like move around a bit like this and just try to see if you can actually get like those triangle shapes here. I work in 2 angles at first. Uh, Also, like I try to something that I try to do is using counterbalances, I think that they call it. So let's say that you have like an apex right here. Like this is an apex, as in like a corner. Let's call it a corner, even if it's not, if it's round, but it's still an apex. So one apex here. So I'll try to not place like another apex like right, like on the other side at the same height, because I find that it doesn't create like a nice counter balance. I'm not even sure if counterbalance is the right term, but I'll try to maybe put like the apex like here, like this. Same goes for the calves, like and this is actually something in anatomy. You'll realize that like the calves are never aligned straight like this. They're always a bit like offset, like how the two curves are, like, see, like this one is lower than this one here. So I'll kind of like try to often do this here. And if I actually find like a shape that I like from front and back, sorry, from front and side, then I'll try to bridge those two shapes together, maybe by connecting like here with an angle like this. Sometimes like softening it. I might actually like even get rid of it. So like this will be like, for example, like maybe like my angle that I'll go for. And yeah, so I'm mostly like trying to figure out the shapes this way. So if I actually delete my layers, so you'll see I have, this is pretty much the shape that I ended up with. And what I explained already like exists. I maybe added like a bit of curve like right here. But yeah, so this is pretty much like the first step, taking that human character and really like elongating, playing with the shapes, trying to figure out what really fits right with what's the right anatomy for this character, for what it's supposed to be. Quickly enough, I also added like other like elements that would be outside of the body. So like the blades that are coming out are outside of her body. It's like another added element. So like I will be maybe adding those things here, and of course playing with the head, figuring out like a good shape for it, and not too much going into detail, or let's call it mid shapes. Like the silhouette is the big shapes. The mid shapes would pretty much be like, for example, like this plane right here. This is kind of like a mid shape. I try to not like concentrate too much on it, but by accident, just or force of habit, I'll be doing it, doing some sometimes. So yeah, the second step is actually going to figure out the colors. So often I'll be adding colors right away for two reasons. Number one, just defining the design, the color choices, but also at the same time, kind of like defining the separation of elements. And sometimes like I don't even know, for example, like this like orange here, will I want it to be the like synthetic muscles, or will it simply be like another metal plate that's of a different painted metal, or orange instead of green? Well, this is pretty much where I figured those things out. But of course, I started with a character that was completely green, and in this case, I already knew about like the sexy boot and sexy glove things I was talking about. So like I pretty much started by um, adding the poly paint on top and figuring out like, okay, is it completely black? No, maybe I want to keep like a little hint of echoing green here, going like maybe up to here like this in a diagonal line like this here. And then like, okay, well, what do I do about the shapes that I did here? Well, you know what? Doesn't really matter. That if I actually at first thought that like these shapes could be like hard surface stuff, deciding to go for something cloth on top already gives me like what's supposed to be under the cloth, so it's going to help me with how to do the surface treatment later. So yeah, no, this is a little example here. So I added the black parts, and pretty much all after that I had added the orange parts here. Here, knowing that it's going to be some synthetic muscles, right? but that pretty much gave me this character here. So I just had to use my judgment, maybe go in render using flat here, seeing if I'm okay with the distribution of colors. So like this character has like the primary color is green, but it's actually there's like a dominant black that's also with the green, and secondary color orange, and the tertiary color is maybe more like the gray parts and such. So like the green and the black are actually sharing the scene right now, but it's actually something I repeat on all of my characters anyway. Like you see here, like the yellow and the black are already pretty much like of the same importance, so I pretty much went for the same decision. Yeah, so that's the back of the character here, and so all green, all gray, yeah, like this. And at some point, I just advanced a little bit more. So you see, like here, I just kind of like changed a bit of the shape, just trying to already give her like a bit of like an emotion in her T-pose. Since she's not on a rig, I can at least do that. So like just with the hand position like this, like I find it's kind of like already having like a little like maybe that's seductress. That's not what I'm going for, but like kind of like femme fatale. It's like delicate but vicious at the same time. I just find that it actually resonates a little bit like this. Same goes for like her physique and the choice of like having the sexy boots and stuff. So it's kind of like all working together. And at the end of the day, she's just like a robot. But like those choices, they emit like an emotion, and I wanted it to be present. So yeah, and this character, so you see here, I advanced a little bit more. It's pretty much like the same, but the shapes are revised, and I did actually, I actually had 2 layers here. So you see that was my shape from before. I kind of like made those little arrangements here, making her a bit thinner around the legs, a little bit longer arms, change the arm position on the side, giving her like, I thought that like this she was like a little bit more like too human, so I wanted to just go a little bit further from human, and I kind of like just like exaggerated the silhouette, the silhouette shape, like the fact that she's like straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, and then like the leg going in that direction. I'll just draw it here. It's going to be easier to see. This is a little fun software called Snagit. So yeah, having like line, 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 and then line here. So like this is pretty much like the lines that I really wanted to be present in the character, to kind of like make her a little bit outside of the human line flow, let's say. And after that, I actually went for just adding some mid-level shapes, and this is where I'm going to actually start sculpting, because this adding of the mid-level shape is something that I wanted to leave for the stream, because the moment that I actually have pretty much figured out where I'm going with my mid shapes, I can already start to separate elements and go for like for polish, actually. I mean, since I don't have an art director to validate anything, like I can just decide to do that when I want. If I was working for a client, I would probably try to have a kind of like very precise blocking, and then present it, make sure that it's validated, and then I would go for separating elements and going for the polish, actually. So yeah, this is actually the point where I'm going to start on the model. I changed the hand position a bit, like this. So yeah, in terms of like the mid, shapes, you'll see I'm starting to just like use like cavity lines to kind of like dig lines here, define smaller areas, smaller shapes like this. It's still very rough, but at least like it's giving me an idea of like what I'm going for. You see, like on the upper part of the body, there's less of that work that's been established. You see, like the belly, there's nothing, so I'll probably work on it like today. Well, not probably, I will work on it today. All right, so I just want to look a bit at the questions here. We're going to be doing well. You know, the stream will be saved. Yeah, the stream will be saved. Oh, hey Jacob, the stream will be saved on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. Do you make extracted pieces to look like they're perfectly fitted? I'll try to. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by perfectly fitted, but I'll separate pieces to kind of like when I need like some negative space and such, and otherwise, often I'll just like keep it as like one shape, so it just looks like it's all well stuck together. If you start to separate too much shapes, sometimes it's kind of like hard to align them together. Like sometimes, like when one shape ends and the other one starts, you're not going to have the same like evenness in like the negative space between them or the thickness close to them. So you kind of like when you separate shapes, you're kind of like giving yourself like you're kind of like giving your giving more liberty in controlling the plate, but you actually also have to make sure to that it looks well calculated. So also, yeah. So Wellman, hi Wellman, very nice. Thank you for the information. Keep it coming. Sorry, is there? Yeah, exactly. The silhouette exaggeration is really a choice of stylization. And if I was going to do like a character that's more grounded in reality, I would probably like not do this because like what service does it actually serve that the character looks like super stylized or whatever? Like when we think about robots right now, we think more about like efficiency and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like a choice, but I have a hard time not putting stylization in my work. So often I'll make a choice to go in that direction. All right, so yeah, so oh, I worked for 5 years before creating Chaos Masons with Cedric. I worked for THQ, BioWare on Mass Effect, and I went on to work for ADOS for a secret project that never actually seen the day of light. Although I see a lot of inspiration in Guardian of the Galaxies, a lot of inspiration from the project we were supposed to make. So I was kind of like happy to see that in the new Guardians of the Galaxy game. And yeah, and after that, I actually like worked on Deus Ex a bit. This is where I actually really owned my hard surface skills, and then we started Chaos Masons. All right. So that was a good 45 minutes of talking. I was actually not really expecting to do that, but yeah, no, I'll get to work now. Sorry for the people that actually waited a little bit for that. Anyways, I mean, just before I start, I just need to say the goal of me working on that project is basically just like doing what I would do at night, but doing it in front of you and answering question at the same time. But you'll see often when I work for myself, I like to sometimes just like go all over the place. I kind of like have this ADHD mind where like it's hard for me to stick in one area, so I'll often just jump from like A to Z, back to L, back to K, back to R. So yeah, you'll see me work in my natural fashion. Hopefully, you'll retain something from this. So the work that I've been doing here on the lower leg, kind of like figuring out like these additions of shapes. This is basically what I will be doing on the upper body, like here. So some of them are easy because I already did the poly paint, like figuring out that this is going to be a separated material. It's actually the cloth leotard piece with some like tube going around it. You see, like here, I'm not sure if I'm going to go for synthetic muscles. It might actually, and just as before, because when posing it later, it might actually be really hard to pose like a bunch of tubes with like details on top. So I might actually just make a choice of making it like a orange plate, just to give myself a break for when I'm going to pose the character. um, yeah. My characters are not necessarily like posable, by the way. Like if I was to work in the for a character that will be rigged and animated later, I would do a proxy, so like just a a blocking that actually is a bit advanced, and then I would probably do like a Z remesh, a baking, or a decimation, sending it to the rigging team, seeing where the major problems are with the like animation tests, and then changing the design to actually fit for those. But when I'm doing something for myself, and I kind of like just sometimes don't really think too much about it, just a little bit, not too much. And sometimes I'll do like a test pose when the blocking is finished, and I'll see if I have problematic areas that I need to change now before polishing. So yeah. Around the neck area here, I've actually been using the same ideas for each of my characters, where you kind of like see inside of the body a little bit. It's not really easy to see from the reference here, but there's like this like plate underneath that I actually have been like reusing on my characters. It's like that plate where stuff go in. So I might try to just make it fit. Maybe like open the scene of one of my other insectoids, taking the subtool, putting it there, seeing how it looks. But for the moment, I'll just continue to explore like the shape separation and the mid shapes here. Also working on the planes. Also maybe like defining like this as an angle with two planes here is something I often do in that stage. You see, it's really pixelated also for the moment, but it doesn't really matter. I don't need more details, right? So here you see like without that line here, the back of the arm would be pretty empty. So like adding this like line here helps me to separate things. And also like this line where to go now. So you see like for me what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing the possibility of making a triangle like right here if I actually take this line and like move it up like this here. So yeah, it could actually just be that. And I might actually change the like the gray, which is going to be probably like more of the inside under the plate. So the green is like the outer plate, the gray might be the inner plate. So I might change like the color right away just to use maybe a gray as a color code for the inside part. Oh my, I realized there's already 40 people. It's pretty cool. So you see, like this is me going all over the map. I'll already be adding um, other meshes. Oops. I'm gonna add already like my the joint where it's going to be. This is not the final position of the joint, but it's just going to give me a bit of an idea of like how I want to place it, how big it's going to be. So the joint rotation is probably going to be like here. It doesn't fit with the elbow for the moment, so I might change the elbow just because of that joint rotation here. But at least I gave myself like a point of reference, and I'll be working, maybe reworking things around this afterwards. Just gonna see if there's questions here. All right, good night, good night. Hi, hello, hello, hello. All right, just some hellos. Really great. I love hellos. So, okay, yeah, so I've placed this joint here. So now I'm probably just going to kind of like work around like here. Like maybe I could like totally expose the joints here like this. We'll see what silhouette it gives. Like it might actually be just like too febrile. Febrile. Wow, is that even a word? It's a French word that means feeble, I guess. Yeah, I guess feeble. But is that like, you see, like doing this like gives me like not enough of like a thickness for it. So like what I can do is I can probably at this point maybe like thicken the okay, we need it to be in local symmetry. Maybe like this, or even something that I can do. I can already just like, oh, this is a Z modeler I'm using right now. I'm just gonna use like the masks thing just to give it like a there we go. And added thickness here. Inflate. There we go. Like this. So you see, like maybe like the inner part didn't need to be that fat. I just needed to have those like things on the outside. So yeah, no, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shrink it a little bit like this here. There we go, and then add. Well, there we go. This is by accident, but I can have a little taper like this, and then I'll extrude. There we go. See, so now it actually goes back to the size from before. The document is just a 2560 by 1540, which is the just the size of my screen, and if you look in here, I'm working in 50. It's pretty wide. I mean, if you compare it to orthographic, you see there's not much difference. This is mostly because like I actually have like those guys here. So because there's like a lot of elements on the outside, it actually does like flatten the shape a lot, which I actually really don't mind. I kind of like prefer flatter than like really too round because of the focal shift, not focal shift, but the camera focals. So yeah. Okay, there's a question about Chaos Masons. I'll just continue working and I can talk about that at the same time. So yeah, I mean, the thing really started with me and Cedric, and when we met at THQ for the first time, like already we became friends pretty fast. We had a lot of like same like value value ethics, ways of seeing things, either artistically or just in life in general. So it was really fun to just like hang out with him and such. And the when we started to well, I mean, he became like art director there. He wanted to be on he had a project. I was supposed to work with him. Didn't really pan out. Um, I actually, because THQ was about to close, so I actually moved to another company, and later moved to BioWare. And sorry, no, I moved to BioWare, and then I moved to ADOS. When I moved to ADOS, I was back with Cedric on that secret project that was supposed to be really awesome. And the project didn't really happen, and that plus like everything that happened at THQ, it kind of like demoralized me a little bit because I just really wanted to ship a game and it wasn't really happening. So I had like those frustrations. And Cedric really like was seeing outsourcing becoming something really like popular. So we were already doing some freelance anyway, and when we did some freelance, it gave us like a lot of contacts and everything. Plus, we were teaching at this school in France, so we were already like kind of like telling people like how to do things better, how to do things our way, and that sort of stuff. So basically, it was like just so we realized we had all the tools to start an outsourcing company because on one hand we have contacts, we already doing freelance. On the other hand, we actually had already some people that were using our techniques and such. So at some point we were given the chance to have like a huge contract, 6 months contract on Agents of Mayhem, and that was our first big break actually. We got to get this big contract, and it was like enough for us to take a chance and to actually decide to go full-time freelance with our outsourcing company. And and from there, we just used the contacts that we had to take like any opportunities, and the opportunities they just grew bigger and bigger and bigger with time. Yeah, kind of. I mean, that would be the quick way of explaining it, I'd say now. Yeah, I will try to make this a regular thing. Actually, I'm not sure if it's always going to be like Wednesday nights, but yeah, I'd like to make this a regular thing. Like I said, I love to share my knowledge and such. So this way, like right now, I would be working exactly like this in this spot, but not recorded normally. So like I was like, it's pretty much going to be the same thing, but with a camera on me talking. Yeah, maybe working slower for sure. It's like I'm realizing I'm not really good at working and talking at the same time. But you know what? It's fun, and yeah. So there you go. Uh, nice. Thanks for the comment. All right. I think I'll probably be adding a ball joint here. Actually, that's what I'll do. I'll kind of like try to be a little bit more focused for a second. I'll just be placing some joints here and there, since like what I'm doing right now is pretty much like defining my mid shapes and my separations. Let's take the opportunity to add some IMMs here and there. And maybe the ball joints will not be really like completely visible, but it's just going to be here as like I said, a point of reference. I might be changing the shapes of things around the joints, like I said also earlier now. Like, will I want to have this ball joint like visible from the outside? Because I'm just realizing that it's not really going to be, so whatever, I'll think about it later. I'm just realizing this is not even like a true sphere. I actually hit something by accident. There you go, deleted. Oops. Oh, just a quick question. You guys cannot hear the music that I'm playing right now, right? Okay, perfect. Awesome. I just don't want to get like copyright strikes on my first one. Hannibal, yeah. I'll just stick around in the next hours or in the next streams, and you'll your answer will get your question will get answered. But I don't have anything like prepared right now. I feel to answer this question, so I'll just eventually I'll go there. So I'll be placing a ball joint here. At some point, I might actually also start to reuse existing IMM for joints, just because I don't want to always have to detail them. But for the moment, I just really need to figure out like the just the size of things. Oops. Also the orientation. So if you look at like where our feet is, the knee is not really in the right direction right now. So this is by placing I'm trying to have like a straight line from here to here. If I really want it to be methodical, here's a little trick that I can do is to make sure that the leg is really aligned with itself. Sometimes I just add like let's say a cube. I'll just transform that into a Q cube. And what I'll do is I'll just I'll place like a rectangle here, and the rectangle will like be serve will serve me as like an aligner. Let's call it an aligner. I mean, for characters that will be rigged later, I mean, this is like really crucial to have like to make sure that like the knee and the foot is like in the same direction and such. For that character is not really that it's not really that crucial, to be honest, but you know what, it doesn't hurt to have just to have some accuracy, some precision like this. So now we can see that some things are a bit offset. I'll just hide this character for a moment. So you see, like this way I can place like the joint a little bit like this here. There we go. But you see, it's not perfect, but it's a little bit better. So now I see it. I know that like this plane is something that I actually can use like for the leg. And what I can do now is I'll use a layer here in case I'm not happy with the results, but I can start to maybe like align the feet a little bit more. because of course when I did my first blocking of the body, I didn't really focus on those things, and it was not really important to focus on those things anyway. But at this point, since I might actually like start to separate things soon, I might as well just give it a shot right now. Make sure the things are in the center. Like I'm not sure like this here needs to be necessarily like here. It's okay that things have like a little offset. See, like this, for me, I find that this is not necessarily useful. Like maybe it can be like offset to the side a little bit here, like this. But yeah, no, the knee seems to be like well aligned, and even if the knee is like a little bit more to the left than to the right, so I can actually give that like silhouette thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter, as like I know that like if the leg is, if it moves, I'm gonna blur a little bit of this. Like if the leg moves, it's gonna move around like the joint here, like this. So I can already predict. And you see it stays lined up, so there we go. And the movement of a knee is only lateral, like it's not like a sphere orbital, like it moves all directions. It's just lateral in one direction. Like the wrist is orbital, but like the elbow is just it's just like one axis like this. I mean, you can do this here, but it's actually like at the shoulder that like the movement like happens. Well, the shoulder, like around the humerus. So, yeah. So I'll be hiding that plane now because like I know that my leg is, I'm done with the calibration on the leg. So you see, it's kind of like a little twist here, but it does not betray the silhouette of the character. I'll actually do the same thing for the arm. I'll just duplicate this this mesh. And the gizmo is not centered anymore. Fucked it up. I'll just create a new cube, transform into a Q cube. Now I know that the gizmo is in the center. So yeah, I realize this might not be the most interesting part of it, but at least it's a good trick to prevent like offset things and just to help in general with the posing. Oh, you see the arm is already pretty, huh, not bad. Not bad, Marco. Actually, I think that deserves a little sip of beer. You see, that's going to be the angle, and yeah, it just so happened that like it's already pretty flushed, so that's good. I won't really have to do anything here. Even my joint is already pretty perfect. Like the slight difference is not going to make a big deal. Plus, I will always adjust things during the posing. So yeah. All right, all right. So I'll keep those at the bottom here. Boop, boop. I'll hide the back arms for the moment. So in the wrist here, of course, it's going to be like a ball joint. I'm not gonna add the ball joint because there's going to be cloth on this character anyway. So I'll just treat it as like a natural flexion, and I'll adjust the cloth, the wrinkles, and that sort of stuff later. To be honest, the fingers, I might actually just reuse the fingers from another Insectoids, just because, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's going to be some alteration. I'm going to try to probably make them like thinner, fit with the visual, same visual language, right? Just saying. Do you see that? This plane is not supposed to be here, so I'll just round that here. Oh yeah, a little trick for people who don't know. So you see, if I use Shift and I smooth here, I'm kind of like losing my shape, right? It's kind of like melting. Well, if you want to smooth without losing this shape, let's say you actually done this and you need to smooth, but you don't want this to happen, the melting thing, you need to press Shift for your smoothing. And the moment that you start to smooth, you release your finger from Shift. And now when you smooth, you're actually not really losing your volume as much. Like nothing compared to like how I'm losing my volume here. So it's a Shift, start to draw. So Shift, pen press, remove Shift, and then you start to draw without ever removing your finger from the your pen from the board. See, like here, I already know that I'm going to be reusing the same thing as him here. Especially to have some like echoing of things. Like I want some things to come back from one Insectoid to the other. It kind of like helps to like match them together. So I mean, I could even at this point go get it right now. I'll just save just in case. So 7. I'll just call it like separate. Just to remind myself that I'm starting to do separation at that level. It's probably here. All right. So this is an actual high poly finished piece. So you see the arm was done separately before being placed on the character, because I just wanted it to be in an orthographic view, especially for things like see like this cylinder here. Okay, well it's cut here, but just like it wasn't cut before. But it actually helps because now it's like, since it's an orthographic view, same as like this piece, it's orthographic, it's straight. So I can use like symmetry on it and whatnot. So sometimes I try to have like the limbs have some like symmetrical parts on them. And since unfortunately there's no local symmetry in Zbrush yet, well, I placed my objects orthographically like this here. Like not everything is symmetrical, but some parts are. So it benefits me from working that way, and then I place it back on the character once it's done. Like that big cylinder here was made in another Z tool in an orthographic view before it was placed here and reused. But I am here for that little guy here. I'll be, oops. Actually, I'll close this. Boop. Bring this guy here. So one thing to consider is that if you actually, like I'll need to scale this this thing here to fit. Well, actually, before I need to scale it, I'll just need to split it, because you see there's like this thing here, but I have subdivision levels, so you hide it. You delete your lower subdivision levels. You delete what is hidden, delete hidden, and then you can reconstruct subdivision to get back the 4 levels that you have. So often I'll merge things together and split them, and who cares? If you don't have layers, you can always reconstruct the subdivisions. Did you experiment with a new stager? Yeah, I experimented the stager thing, but the thing is that like with stager, you need to like it kind of like places it orthographically for you. Then you can use a symmetry. But what I want is I want to be able to like work in the position, in the final position already, which you can't. And stager is kind of like a cool idea, but the problem is that you cannot really like have many subtools all together and stuff, and then like have them all move at the same time. So it's kind of like restricting to just one subtool, and I ended up not really using it because of that. It's a really nice idea, and at first I was like really charmed by it, but I realized there was like some limitation that right now are not really like working for me. So so you know what? Maybe that's like the Maxon thing. Well, it's going to be adding programmers to the software, and maybe that like somebody's going to figure out how to do the local symmetry. So that might be a good thing from the purchase. We don't know. We do not know. So by adding this subtool here, I'm trying to add it in a way that's actually respecting my line flow. So like you see like this line here and this line here are kind of like parallel, so that's good. And I'm trying also to respect the silhouette. So if you look at it from in X-ray vision, you see like here it's actually respecting the silhouette, but here it's really protruding. But is it a bad thing that it's protruding like this? That is the question. Let's try to average it, placing it here. I think I prefer it that way. So by placing this IMM, you see that now I'm actually going to start working with this shape here. I'm actually going to adjust it to the IMM that I placed. This is actually something I do often. Once I place like an IMM, either if it's like a simple one like this cylinder here, or if it's something more complex and finished like this one, either way, I'm going to rework the elements around it to fit the IMM. Why? Because when I work on an IMM, it's usually like a pretty like polished and structured shape, a clean shape. So I know that like this shape, since it's clean, well, it's going to make other things around it clean if you adjust it to this. Let's call it like master shape. So the shapes around it are going to be clean if I follow like this here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Especially when it comes to like joint placement, like this like ball joint here that right now is just like it's just a sphere. While placing the joint here actually can like help me to kind of like make sure that things around it are now like straight. Yeah, that sort of stuff. The plugin for the multiple tool and stager might actually be interesting. Might actually try it. Like I said, the fact that I actually have absolutely to work in orthographic, this is kind of like the thing that's a bit bumming me out. So my technique already pretty much does like what stager does. I'll try it. I'll give it a try. I'm just cautiously, not cautiously optimistic, but like what would be the opposite of cautiously optimistic, I guess. Oops. what's... Okay, I don't know what I pressed. So yeah, you see like right now like this, like the forearm is pretty empty, and I added this shape here, and this shape is actually kind of like helping me to figure out maybe that I need to have like some separation like here. So this line here, like it's just a line I'm drawing. In reality, maybe it's going to become like a change of plane like this, or maybe it's actually just going to be a seam line. Like I don't know. I'm just like drawing shapes, and it's pretty much like still like just like the design part right now. So oh yeah, the elbow here is not like aligned with the joint, so that is something I knew I had to fix. So there we go. So now I know that if I split my elbow here, this will be well aligned. Also, I'm realizing that I think I need more subdivision, because it's not really working for me. I can actually, I don't need to get rid of my layers for the adding a subdivision, but sometimes it does have like some little like weird way of acting. So you see, I'm just gonna bake everything on the character. Like I'm ready to commit to this right now, and go to the next level of subdivision. There we go. Awesome. So since it's a bit empty here, I'll be adding another seam line here. This here is supposed to be a continuation of the cloth that is here. I think that for the moment, what I can do is just like really stretch the volume to go and reach that that effect. It's not going to look really good, but just I'm not really ready to separate the model yet. So I'll just like place it on top and like this. I smooth that just to average the topology a little bit. Planar. So now I actually have this shape here. I'm just going to try to get back a bit of like the roundness of the arm, and then here the plane of the blade. So you see like it's, I think right now we can see like where I'm going for here. So you actually have like really like this like cloth that's kind of like going from the arm here, and then like it goes here, like, and probably there's going to be like an attach like here and an attach right here, and it's basically just like a cloth that goes over the arm, and it kind of like hides how the claw is going inside of the arm. Well, you kind of like, you can see it like here, but it's just to say that like you have like this like cloth thing that is like crossing over one shape to another, creating kind of like an offset, not really having like the cloth finishing before the blade starts. So it's kind of like, yeah, an offset. See here, I think I'm just gonna add like a random volume. Just so to make sure that the shape is a little bit more interesting. It's just going to be a volume under the arm without any purpose really. Like I could even add like a volume like this here. Do I like what it does to the silhouette to add an added volume right here? Let's say yes for the moment. Yeah, I did some characters for the VFX industry, but never robots because they have to be done in polymodeling, and that is not my jam. So yeah, to answer the question, it's mainly for games because the games they actually help me to they let me work with the technique that I want, since you can bake everything in a normal map, all the hard surface stuff and whatnot. You don't need to do displacement or like VDM, vector displacement. So hopefully, maybe movies when they start to do it, like in Unity and that sort of stuff, I'll be able to work for the film industry with my techniques of baking and that sort of stuff. So that could be cool. I wouldn't say no. It's really because my technique has this like restriction of technical restriction, let's call it. That's why I've focused a bit more on the game aspect. Plus the collectible aspect also, because God knows that I love collectibles. I mean, I think you can tell from the from my background. I don't have the biggest collection, but I have a few, some that I worked on, and I just love it. I love statuettes like this, particularly because I'm not an animator, but I love to give life to the characters. And when you put them in a pose and you can actually like see them in 360 in rotation and everything, I really like it. It's able to seeing them in front of you, especially because they're printed and painted and that sort of stuff. This is a really great. I just really love to be able to see them this way. So yeah, no, I am love collectibles, creating a moment, even if it's static, that sort of stuff. You know what I'm realizing? I'm realizing that I might need to warm up before the streams. Like I was playing GTA 4 before the stream to just relax a bit. I know GTA 4 it's old school, but I'm redoing the GTAs right now, and GTA 4 is my favorite. In my nostalgia, it's my favorite. We'll see now that I'm replaying it, but all that to say that like I think that I need to warm up because right now I'm kind of like hitting a good focus. Like I like my focus right now, even if I'm talking. And maybe if I'm like that since the beginning of the stream, could be more interesting for you lovely people. I'm also realizing I need to not look too often at the questions and just once in a while check and answer them. Love from India. Well, love from Canada. Yeah, GTA 4 is great. I just love the story so much of this Eastern Bloc dude that goes to America to live the dream, and he realizes that like just people are like almost like more fucked up and stuff. Like plus he's carrying all his PTSD and everything, and it's really creating like a perspective from somebody that like I've seen like the worst and now goes somewhere where like people are complaining for like nothing and such. It's really interesting. Plus like how like his habits are following him, his story is following him, and it's really nice. I love the story and exploration of this character, Nico Bellic. Yeah, really like it. So now I played like all the GTA's and I'm gonna play the fifth one after because I played the fifth one only once when it came out, and as far as I know, it was a good one. So I'm gonna check that out. I actually play a lot of Switch because I don't have much time to play video games, but I do have time to play some video games before falling asleep or when I go to the bathroom. And the Switch really helps with that. So I'm able to play a couple of portable games this way. Sorry for the TMI, but I'm here to be honest. Such an asshole. Yeah, live the dream and bowling with your cousin. It's fun that you can like do those simplistic things though. So yeah, what am I doing right now? Really just drawing some line flow, kind of like getting some ideas of like how how I'm going to separate the elements, that sort of stuff. Like the fingers, like I know it's going to be like something like this. It's just like always the same kind of like separation of elements that I do. And like I said, I'm like I'm going to reuse like 80% of 90% of something that I already created. Of course, there's going to be like teeth on the blade here, as per the praying mantis is. Cool for the gumroll tutorial, actually. Yeah, Unreal rendering looks pretty dope. It's really cool what Unreal does, actually. To be honest, I'm just way too fucking lazy to to try. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, lazy, but like lazy, busy, comfortable with my own little techniques and stuff. Right now, I'm much more in experimenting in the design aspects. Since I'm like my responsibility in my company is a lot of art direction and that sort of stuff. So I try to keep sharp by really focusing on design and that sort of stuff more than rendering and such. So yeah, no, I think it's something that happens to people when they get more like veteran, is that they really get comfortable with something and they establish it as their technique, and naturally you're going to maybe like less focus on like always the new things and that sort of stuff. And I mean I do learn like new things, um, but it comes like in a certain like area, let's say. And Unreal, I've actually I've never been that knowledgeable of Unreal, so start like learning like how to do like the rendering and that sort of stuff might actually require me to spend to make sacrifices elsewhere where I can't really do it at the moment. Between working for Chaos Masons, working on some of my projects, doing some Twitch, taking care of the family, playing GTA 4. So yeah, no, I don't know, but I have played I played the Matrix Awaken, I think the name is the basically like the PS5 tech demo from Warner Brothers, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's funny because it's really funny because I was playing at that point I was playing GTA San Andreas, and it's like I saw the Matrix Awaken tech demo, and I was like, wow, okay, that's like the next level of like rendering and this and visual effect and that and populating the world and whatever. And then I came back to GTA San Andreas, and I was like, on one hand, it looks so fucking shitty compared to the Matrix. So, and then on the other hand, I'm like, we we already had open world and that sort of stuff. So I mean, you cannot poo-poo too much like what we had before, because it's like, oh shit, like we already had a lot. Being able to drive helicopters and jets in Las Vegas, seeing the world from the god eye view. So no, it was kind of already kind of fun. Secret tips on designing characters. Well, I kind of feel like I've been giving a few tips already, so I'll continue to do it when the opportunity comes, for sure. Yeah, Christelle, that's a challenge, and I feel like the more I'm getting older, the more it's actually getting a challenge. Not in a bad way. It's just that like now there's much more things that I want than being a 3D artist and working for like a studio or that sort of stuff. Like, I mean, now I wanted to start a family, so there we go. So now you have to take care of the family, and I have like other personal projects that I'm working on that I'm actually really hoping that I'm going to be able to talk soon about. Some crazy personal projects that are just like some life goal achievement that I'm going to be able to unlock soon, and I'm super excited to be able to talk about it when I'll be able to. But like making place for all of that is like, of course, it's like a really like a juggling of things. But I'll tell you, I've never realized how much time I had in my hands before I had a kid. Because now I'm like, oh, okay. Now I really see how much time I really had in my hands that I wasted. But you know what? It's kind of fine because like now I know like the value of time, and I'm like kind of like prioritizing things more and such, and so it's kind of like it's fun. Like that aspect is fun, and to be like really like more optimistic. It's weird because I've never felt as productive as I was before I actually had my kid. Like my kid actually thought me like to like those like prioritizing thing and the value of time and that sort of stuff. So it's weird because although I had my kid is like 1 year and 1 year and a half in Jesus Christ 1 year and a half in 2 days, and like although he's almost 1 year and a half, like since he's born, I've never actually created that much content in a year. So, go figure. On one hand, I just have much less time, but it's like I don't fuck around anymore. I mean, I created like a priority of like my family most of the time, then the company, then like a small percentage of like seeing my friends, a small percentage of like relaxing playing video game, and the rest goes to my personal projects and whatnot. So yeah, it's not. It's actually more positive than anything else. True, Ben. I think that I think that you have to know a little bit of everything on just the knowing basis of thing and be somewhat comfortable with everything. But I think that like being specialist in one thing is probably like the best. But if you don't know a little bit of everything, at some point you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Like I'm using so much of like anatomy knowledge to do like my characters, just because like we've learned so much about art with anatomy, like line flow, mass distribution, like flexion, dynamic transformation, just the structure of something. There's so much to learn with the practice of anatomy. And when I work on a character, I always like use those things. Like you see, like this is like an arm, and it's a mechanical arm, but like a lot of like the shapes that I go for or my choices are actually decided based on on anatomy. And I find that it's really important to have this balance of knowledge and things and whatever. Me, I'm like I like to consider myself a very versatile artist. Even if I'm actually more into hard surface, and I mean, God knows I'm not like a master of like anatomy and that sort of stuff, or but like I studied long enough to have like this base level of understanding that actually like I'm really happy with, that helps me to have like a critical eye on my art and the ones of others. By others I mean like the people working for me as much as just other people on the internet, right? But no, I think it's really important to have a base level understanding of like pretty much like everything, especially when it comes to using like software that does simulation. I think that it's really important to know what you're going for, because like Marvelous is great. It's a great software, but if you don't know what you're going for, you're gonna end up having like a well simulated piece of shit. So you kind of like need to understand like how patterns are done and how they fall on the body and how it can be like aesthetic, not necessarily just in quotes realistic or simulated, but really aesthetic. Because even like a 3D scan of like clothing, often I feel that like it needs to be adjusted to look aesthetic. If you just look at like how like folds like they crumple like around the ass cheeks at the back, it often just looks like really weird. Although it's like it's realistic because it's a scan from reality, but it just looks like so weird, and put animation on that and it's just a complete mess. So actually having like this base of understanding of like traditional way of sculpting the cloth and that sort of stuff, it kind of like helps you to know where you're going for. The same way that like being able to paint or draw landscapes can actually like help you to be a better like make better renderings, because like now you understand like the principles of lighting and this. It's just not like mechanically placing a light there because of this and because of that. And I mean, God knows I'm not the best at rendering, but at least it's it's something that I always remember. Just trying to really like learn at the source of things. And for a while, I started to render in ZBrush. Using the ZBrush passes. I actually used a little trick that I saw on Raphael Grassetti tutorial on how to use like ZBrush passes to render your stuff, and I thought that the technique was pretty cool because it actually forced me to know what I want to add in my render, like in terms of like okay, well, I want a light that does this. I want like some more redness here, so I will render like a matcap pass for this. So I kind of like had to understand like what happens with like a skin shader. What happens like what's really the deal with like a metallic shader? Like how does the light diffuses on it plus added reflectivity on top? So I actually had to dissect yeah, I actually had to dissect the like everything that was happening, um, and it made me really more understand like the nature of materials and that sort of stuff. So when you go back after to like a real rendering engine, well, at least like you kind of like know how to tweak the materials better because you know what you actually want because you observed it and practiced it using a less of a shortcut method and more of a like do it by yourself method that actually is good for studying, I find. So studying anatomy before you start using scans, studying cloth and drapery, sculpting it by yourself before you start using simulators, cloth simulators. It's all stuff that I find is actually really, really good to do for yourself. I hope this answered your question, Truben. There's so many ways of interpreting a question. Awesome. I'll just load my my previous model just to see like how the work was before. So yeah, I was not able to do a lot for the moment because I've been actually more interested into talking and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm enjoying this though. I'm enjoying it. Because although I'm not going into my maximum speed, I find it fun to just go by things this way. You see, if you observe like this area, this is such a it's a simple thing, but like this was basically just like a shape without anything, some colors because I knew I wanted the glove here, some like separation and things. But just by adding like this like IMM here and working with like those things around it, you kind of like already like see more of like where I could go with that. At this point, I mean the glove could already be separated into its own shape to made into like a final polish. Uh, I'm not gonna do that now. Like I'd rather just like work on the rest of the character before doing that. But no, it just gives you an example. By the way, like also like things like this, like you know, like the tip of the shoulder is like a thing that comes back on the character often. Like I'm probably just gonna do it once and copy paste it like everywhere. So yeah, at some point I'll start reusing a lot of pieces, like for joints and that sort of stuff. Okay, thanks for writing it in French, Truben. um, yeah, I think everybody needs at every level they needs to push themselves always in some direction depending on what you like. And like just to give you an example, like me, I'm gonna soon I'm going to start to explore like a new avenue that I haven't done before. Now it's going a little bit outside of 3D, but it's actually something that really like speaks to me. Is I'm actually I started to have painting lessons, but painting on 3D models. Well, not 3D models, but printed models. Since I have a printer here, the right there under the black cover here, like I print my own characters, and the same way I like this guy, my little Lancer dude. This is actually the one I printed myself. It's the almost the same quality as the one that Onage did that I'm selling, and this one I printed it myself. And I'm really enjoying printing and that sort of stuff. But the thing is, I cannot really like paint, and I feel that it's like the last thing that I need in the trifecta is like I know how to do the 3D model, I know how to print, but I just don't know how to paint the character to have it really like done and final. So, and I've been really inspired by some of my friends or acquaintance that are good at painting, and it really like inspires me to learn for myself. I'd love that. I'd love to be able to do the whole process for myself. I mean, I still want to do like projects with other people and get stuff printed and painted and whatever, but I'd love to be able to do it by myself, especially like I'm selling like STLs now of my own work for people to print and to paint and that sort of stuff. And I know that like some people are gonna print my stuff and paint it and send it to me. I'm gonna be like super jealous of like not be able to do it myself. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Nah, it's time. It's time that I learn. And I wanted to learn actually right before my kid was born. And then since it was my first kid and I needed to learn like a lot of things, I just didn't want to have too much on my plate. But now that he is 1 year and a half and he's starting to become more independent and that sort of stuff, well, now I actually feel that it's kind of like a good time to learn something new. And it might not be Unreal rendering, or it might not be, I don't know, Fusion 3D, like whatever. But I don't know. I find that it's going to be a fun thing. It's going to be a new thing because it's going to be so much. It's going to be so much to learn. Just the fucking like mixing of the paint to get like the right. I don't even know how to call it. Not format, but whatever. You know, you see, I have a lot to learn. I can't even like say what it is. But you know what? I textured enough characters, and I have enough like color theory and all in the abstract and the virtual. But I have enough of that that I know that I'm going to be able to. It's just a question of like learning the method and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks, Crystal. Oh my God, Pistol Pete is here. Nice. Thanks for the publicity, Crystal. I really appreciate it. My kid does not know how to hold a Wacom pen, but he already knows how to hold a pen correctly, and I haven't like it. I feel like he actually learned it super quickly because I don't remember seeing him not holding a pen well. For the moment, he's more like interested in like attacking a, a like attacking the paper with his pen more than like creating art. But I think it's super fun. I like to see him go at it, and it's one of the activities that I do with him often. Although he gets bored of it like pretty quickly, but it's one of the many activities that I do with him in case that like I just want to kind of like give him like possibly the flame, and if he chooses that he likes it, well, he'll have a good teacher in the household for that. So well, thanks Hannibal for the tip. Maybe he's going to be more into stone carving or like blacksmithing and stuff, and he'll be able to make me a bastard sword for my wall. So when he's going to be maybe 3 year old, I'm gonna drop him in a blacksmith forgery, not forgery, but a forge, whatever, and I'll tell him to make myself a nice, great bastard sword. It would be great. Watermelon buttocks. Pistol Pete, this is a place for art. So I will ask you to stay open minded to my likings. Pistol Pete is one of my childhood friends. Actually, Pistol Pete is the person that bugged me, that got on my nerves and harassed me to no end until I actually created a Twitch channel and shared this. So one of the reasons why I'm here tonight is because of this fine gentleman. And if you guys are interested into Formula One streaming, you should go on his Twitch channel, which is his name. Eh? Publicity for my dear friend. Jimmy Grankin, you're going to be you're going to be sad because I'm actually about to announce that I might actually finish that stream. And the reason why I'm finishing now is because well, I told myself I was going to do like a little 2 hour to start. But like I said, I actually intend on trying to actually like have like a certain like a recurrence, like a certain like I want to do that like on a weekly basis at the least. I'm gonna try to find a time to I'm going to try to find a time to kind of like do it like at the same time every week to create some like some Jesus Christ, I cannot find my words. Um, like constants. That's not the right word, but I guess you understand what I mean. Like I want people like to be able to expect like me every week at the same time. I'm not sure if it's going to be always like the same consistency. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be like every like Wednesday. It might actually be it might actually like be like another day of the week. I'll try to figure out like the best day of the week for me. Like I already know that like next Wednesday I think I actually will have something, or I'm not even sure. I have to check my agenda, but I'll try to figure out like a time that's going to be like always the same every week. Plus I might actually do some little like bonus like appearances like out of nowhere. That would be cool. That would be great. So yeah, I'm thinking of figuring that out. But like as you know, this is my first stream. I'm really new at this. I need to figure out how to really integrate this correctly into my life. I really want to do it. This was actually fun. I need to adjust a lot of things. Like I need to, like I said earlier, figure out how to get into like focus quickly. And I guess I'll just figure that out by doing more of it. So yeah. So as a first go at it, I'd say that it was pretty fun. I took some time at the beginning to talk about like where I'm going with the design and everything. Next time I might jump into like the 3D a little bit earlier. Like I said, I'll try to already be like a little bit warmed up. I might have advanced on the character during the week. I don't know, but I will at least like try to always have like a part of a character ready to be like part of a character that's still in the same phase as it was last week, so I can create like bridge and have some consistency to not consistency but more like continuity to the work. So I'll check and I mean I'll learn from it. We'll see what it's gonna do, but I find the experience kind of fun actually. So I guess that I'm going to leave it to that for the moment. Oh, that's cool what you're saying, Execute FX, about motivating you to work. I mean, it's motivating me to work also to do this Twitch thing. So I guess that it's mutual. So yeah, okay, Azaf, you're actually making me realize surprise streams is a very, very naughty word. I figured that out. I think that you can. It's probably a category on Pornhub also. Cool. Also, nice stuff. And yeah, close stream. Sorry. Sorry, Annabelle. I'll just it'll at some point I'll actually have the technique to show. Right now I don't really have like the tools to do it, and it's gonna take some time to show it. So I just want to like be able to show it in a more organic way. At some point it'll come to that for sure, and you'll see me repeat it again and again and again. But today was a bit more about like some aspect of design. Sam, thanks for coming. It was I was really happy to see that you were actually coming to the stream, so that's pretty cool. Yes, it's going to be recorded. I actually am recording right now. I will just need to put it on YouTube. And although it's like a bit of like an introduction thing, I guess that like maybe it's interesting enough for people. I mean, at least if you're asking, it's probably because there's some interesting stuff. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it on YouTube, on our the Chaos Masons YouTube page. Oh yeah, so like if like anybody's looking for Jesus Christ. Not if somebody's looking for Jesus Christ. I mean, if anybody's looking for like how to follow me and that sort of stuff, um, where's the window I just opened? Okay, whatever. So if you go on the Chaos Masons website here, you can actually go at the bottom, and at the bottom we have like a few links here. So you have like the YouTube, Instagram, the Gumroad, ArtStation, the Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and the first one here is our link tree here, and the link tree is basically where you go to actually have access to like everything from us. So our website, the store, the Gumroad, ArtStation, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitcher, and the personal links of Cedric and my personal link as well. You click on this one. It's the link tree of my personal stuff here. And the ones from Chaos Masons as well. But all that to say that if you're looking for something like tutorials, you go on our shop. If you're looking for Gumroad stuff, there's more stuff here. So collectibles you can buy. Oh, those are in the pre-order section, but they are actually ready to order, so I'm going to have to change that. You have tutorials here. You have the STLs I talked about, and if you're also like looking for other things like how to reach us, like on Twitter, on Facebook, or on YouTube, where I'm going to be posting the this recording. Well, you'll have it here. I'll probably create a playlist of this those like sessions that I'm doing at night. So yeah. Yeah, also like if everybody wants to rewatch them right away, I know that they're going to be on Twitch for a little while, but for prosperity, I know that I need to put them on YouTube as well. So yeah, the coach Bombay. Yes, I actually like the technique that Hannibal was talking about. I'm actually showing it on the video that I did with Laura on Outgang. So you can check that out. But like I said, eventually I'll come to that like pretty soon, I guess. Also, also thanks for the nice words. It's really appreciated. Maybe you can have a chat on the stream too next time, so YouTube viewers can see. Oh, okay, so maybe you can have a chat log on the stream. So you mean like basically like having the window like here on the side? Is that what you're talking about, Kevin 3D Art? Wellman, my voice is not suiting. Go fuck yourself. Wellman is also one of my friends. That's why I treat it that way. What's a social tree without OF? What's OF? Only fan. Well, I mean, you don't know, dude. Maybe I'm gonna start an OnlyFans soon. My wife thinks I have a great butt, so we'll see if I want to share it with the world. Azraf, when you say OBS lets you do a chat log overlay, can you write to me in private and just like let me know what you mean? I'd be interested to check that out. You need alert sub follower. Yeah, that I don't know how to do either. So I'll need to figure that out. Oh wait, is that a joke? Man, you see how much like I don't listen to Twitch and it's ridiculous. Like I can't even tell if it's a joke or not. Jesus Christ. Oh. All right, looks like Pistol Pete also is going to put his 2 cents, which is going to be appreciated for sure. Yeah, all right, guys. So yeah, like I said, it wasn't much. Like I didn't really advance on the character that much. It was a lot of like talking and explaining and that sort of stuff. But I hope it was enjoyable. And like I said, I'll do that again if people appreciate it. I mean, I certainly appreciated it. So on that, I will say a good night. And I will see you soon. And I will try to find a catchphrase for the end of my streams soon enough. So you can send me comments on suggestion if you want. And until then, stay classy, San Diego.